I'd been patient for a month. But seeing Brenda's BMW driving friends treat my undeveloped lot as their personal parking garage was the final straw. Their casual disrespect for my property lines, right next to the sparkling Homeowners Association clubhouse, was infuriating. I knew then what I had to do, and it wasn't going to be cheap. My grandpa left me this land, a small, neglected triangle of unpaved earth amidst the manicured lawns and pristine, cookie-cutter houses of Harmony Hills. He'd always told me it was my nest egg, a piece of real estate so valuable it was worth the decade-long wait for the right moment to build. But Brenda, our neighborhood's self-proclaimed queen, a woman who treated every rule as a personal suggestion, had declared it communal overflow for her seemingly endless stream of friends coming to play pickleball at the clubhouse. Was this really happening? I tried the friendly note, then the polite text, each time met with a breezy, dismissive response. "Oh, it's just for an hour. Honey," she texted back last week, an emoji of a winking face that made my blood run cold. She didn't even bother to spell out the U. Every morning, the same scene, a dozen sleek cars, lined up on my property as if they'd paid for the privilege. Their drivers, Brenda's friends, getting out with their yoga mats and designer water bottles. The sight of a Land Rover's tire leaving a fresh tread mark on the dirt I was sworn to protect made my jaw clench. The air, thick with the saccharine scent of her perfume, felt like a personal insult. Didn't she see the fading spray paint of the property lines? Or did she simply not care? A sharp, frustrated sigh escaped my lips. This wasn't about the money. Not yet anyway. It was about principle. It was about the audacity of it all. I walked into my garage, the air cooler and smelling faintly of motor oil and sawdust, and pulled out my phone. I had a contractor's number saved, a guy who did fence work on the side. "Hey, it's me," I said, my voice low and tight. "How soon can you put up a full perimeter chain link fence on my property?" "Yeah, the lot next to the clubhouse." "No, I need it today. Just do it." The fence went up with a satisfying, metallic clatter in the cool morning air. It was a no-frills, industrial-grade chain link with a single, heavy-duty gate, a stark, unyielding statement. I hung the sign myself. The letters, painted in blocky, black font on a bright yellow background, were impossible to miss. Parking, $500 per day. No exceptions. My hands trembled slightly as I hammered it into the wood. This felt so good. My phone buzzed in my pocket. It was a text from Brenda. "What is this? Are you serious?" The exclamation points practically screamed from the screen. "Oh, you bet I was serious." It was about an hour later when the first scream echoed across the quiet, suburban street. Brenda's shrill voice, a piercing crescendo of disbelief. I stepped outside just in time to see a silver Lexus and a black Porsche, parked in their usual spots, now trapped within the steel embrace of my new fence. Brenda stood with her hands on her hips, her face a mask of furious, entitled shock. "You can't do this," she yelled, her eyes wild. "This is insane. They're my friends." I leaned casually against the fence post, my arms crossed. "They are, aren't they?" I replied, my voice calm, almost bored. "And my property is private." Funny how that works. A tremor of pure rage went through her. Her friends, caught inside, just looked bewildered. One, a woman named Carol, tried to squeeze her compact out between the fence and a tree, only to find the new gate locked with a monstrous, gleaming padlock. She was completely boxed in. This was a nightmare for them, wasn't it? The real show started with the Emergency Homeowners Association meeting that evening. The air in the clubhouse was thick with tension, hushed whispers giving way to angry, pointed glares. Brenda and her husband, Ted, the Homeowners Association president, stood at the front, looking like a pair of shipwrecked royalty. "We have an unprecedented situation," Ted began, his voice strained. A resident, in an act of extreme noncompliance, has erected a fence on his lot and is now extorting our fellow residents. A woman in the front row coughed. Another muttered, "It's about time." I watched the expressions on their faces, the subtle nods of support from those who had also been fed up with Brenda's clique. It was clear there were two camps. Then Brenda spoke, her voice shaking with righteous fury. "He's holding our cars hostage. We've been parking there for months. It's a neighborly thing to do." She motioned wildly towards me. "We even left him a thank you card. Remember, Ted? A nice little note." My turn. I stood up, holding a manila folder with copies of my property deed, survey maps, and photos of their cars. I spoke without emotion, a cool, detached tone. "This is a simple case of trespass. I have repeatedly asked them to stop. The notice period for a tow company is 24 hours, but since they never responded to my other requests, I chose to secure my property myself. The $500 fee is the price of their vehicles not being towed and impounded, plus the fee for the temporary inconvenience to my property. This is about legal rights, not neighborly feelings." The room was silent, a hushed intake of breath. The Homeowners Association bylaws were clear on this. Brenda's friends had to pay. The gasp that escaped Brenda's lips was a masterpiece of defeated indignation. Her own husband, faced with the legal precedent and the sheer, unyielding logic of my argument, had to agree. We can't override his property rights." Ted stammered, his face pale. "The fees are legitimate." The look Brenda gave him was a betrayal so profound it could curdle milk. Her friends, trapped outside, their faces pressed against the chain link, watched in silent horror as they realized their only option was to fork over the cash. The next day, I watched them, one by one, sheepishly hand over an envelope, the crisp sound of $50 bills rustling inside. Brenda, her face flushed with shame, had to do the same for her friends who didn't have the cash on them. The silence was deafening, the air thick with the bitter smell of defeat. And as I unlocked the gate for the last car, I couldn't help but smile. A profound sense of justice, as pure and sweet as rain, washed over me. You can't just take what you want and expect no consequences. Sometimes, you have to stand your ground, and when you do, that victory tastes a whole lot better than free parking.